Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome into Verts. My name is Harrison Graham. We are officially into off-season mode as NFL rumors are starting to fly around. NFL free agency 1 month away from today. The draft about a month and a half after that. Trade buzz starting to circulate. So we're going to cover it all for you guys here on a daily basis here on this channel. So be sure to lock us in. I'm going to catch you guys up on a couple of storylines today. My name is Harrison Graham. Welcome in. I want to ask you guys first, though, now that the season is in the books and we are on to the 2025 season, who wins Super Bowl 60? It's always a big year when it lands on that 0, 30, 40, 50, 60th Super Bowl coming up next year. If you had to guess right now, who do you got winning Super Bowl 60? Go ahead and drop a prediction down in the comments below. Okay, Sam Darnold, talk a little QB carousel here. Could he be on his way to the Las Vegas Raiders? This was reported on Super Bowl Sunday that Darnold should have a good market from Adam Schefter, and he specifically mentioned the Raiders as a team that he expects to be in the mix. Obviously, Sam Darnold is a fascinating case because it took until year 7 for him to have a true breakout after flopping with the Jets in Carolina. Kind of did a intern year, if you will, with Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers, and then he lands with Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings. J.J. McCarthy misses his rookie year, and he plays really well until the last 2 games of the season when he kind of looked like the Sam Darnold of old. He was holding on to the ball too long. You know, that old phrase that he said years ago of, "I'm seeing ghosts," kind of felt like that was the case, especially in the playoff game against the Rams. But I still expect him to have a pretty robust market. Now, what does that look like? Does that look like the Baker Mayfield 3 for $100 deal? Could it be more? Will it be less? I don't know if you could go higher than that Baker Mayfield contract. It still feels pretty risky considering we're talking about one good season of work. It'd be one thing if there were prior signs in his other stops. Like, at least with Baker, it was like, okay, he had a good season in Cleveland. And then he proved it again in Tampa that first year. Then they paid him. We're talking about a 1-year guy, 7 years into his career. So, but the reality is he's hitting free agency at a good time because A, it's a bad quarterback draft, and B, the rest of the free agent quarterbacks just aren't that strong. I mean, Justin Fields has less of a resume. He doesn't have a year that Sam Darnold has had. Russell Wilson was decent in Pittsburgh, but he's older and has limitations. If Aaron Rodgers gets cut, he's 41, 42 years old. There's just not a lot of options out there for these teams. And if you're Vegas, even if you like a Shedeur Sanders in this draft, there's no guarantee you're going to be able to get him because you're picking number 6 overall in a draft where only 2 quarterbacks, to me, are worthy of taking in the first round. So I think this will be pretty interesting. It would not surprise me at all if a team like Vegas say, hey, we'll give you 3 for 105, 35 a year with 70 guaranteed. Come be our starting quarterback. Do you want to go there if you're Darnold? You'd probably rather go to other situations, but at least Pete Carroll brings obviously skins on the wall. And if he builds it the way he wants to, which is run the football, play defense, then you don't have to ask Sam Darnold to do as much as, quite frankly, he had to do this year because the Vikings did not have a good running game. We'll see if Minnesota's in the mix to bring him back. They have not closed that door, according to reports, but if some team's going to offer him $100 million, I can't imagine Minnesota matches that. Now, they could franchise tag him and try to trade him. That could be on the table. $41 million. You trade him to a team like a Vegas, like a Indianapolis, like a I'd say New Orleans, but they probably don't have the money, like the Giants maybe. But, that'll be the first decision from Minnesota's standpoint. Do you franchise tag him or not? Really just kind of depends where they feel J.J. McCarthy is. Okay, from one quarterback who's on the rise to one who's starting to slip is Aaron Rodgers. We talked about it on the show yesterday. The Jets are moving on. Most believe they'll cut him. But I do want to explore, is there a team out there that would trade for him? Now, the way his contract is, it's kind of funky, and there's a bonus involved potentially. Now, would he be willing to forego some of that bonus money depending on who trades for him? We'll have to wait and see. But the Jets are going to get rid of him before it's either the 3rd or 5th day of the new league year because that's when that bonus would kick in. So he will not be on their roster here in a couple of weeks. The question is, will a team even throw like a 7th-round pick? Because if you're the Jets and you could trade him rather than eat all $49 million this year, you would at least explore that. But I also think the Jets are in a place where they're like, you know what, if we have to eat the $49 million this year, so be it. This is year one of a rebuild. Aaron Glenn's trying to set a standard and a culture. So it all comes down to that first and foremost. I don't think the Jets are looking at this thing like we're trying to win a Super Bowl in year one. I expect Rodgers to be cut. I just don't think a team at his age and with the baggage he brings would trade for him. Now, I think he would have a market in free agency. I think there'd be 4 or 5 teams that would consider signing him, especially if it's like 10, 12, even 15 million bucks. I mean, if you're the Raiders, if you don't go after Darnold, maybe you do draft a quarterback and you sign Aaron Rodgers to a 1-year deal to start for 1 year, right? And that rookie takes over in year 2. Or if you're the Giants, I wouldn't bet my career on Aaron Rodgers if I was Brian Daboll and Joe Shane, but if they don't get one of the top 2 quarterbacks in Cam Ward and Sanders, if they go 1 and 2, you could draft sign Rodgers and then draft a QB on day 2. That could be an option for New York. So, would Rodgers be open to that and just staying in the Jersey area where he already has a home and everything? That could be a possibility. Would Tennessee consider trading the number 1 pick, load up on assets, and then just signing Rodgers to a 1 or 2 year deal, and then you draft the QB next year or the year after? That could be on the table. So I do think teams would be interested. I just don't think they're going to trade for him because at this point in his career and with the Jets already pretty much making it known we're moving on, they just don't have any leverage. And, I think they know that. I think that's why they've already kind of put it out there. Hey, we're just going to release him. If some team bites and throws us a 7th or something, sure, we'll trade him. But they're going in a new direction, which I think is a good move for New York. Don't blame him at all. I do think Rodgers will play again. I thought he played better down the stretch this year, and does he want to go out this way with the Jets? Now, I could see a scenario where if he gets cut, does he just hang out for a while, like past the draft, kind of identifies the landscape, maybe even into deep OTAs or training camp, waits and sees if there's an injury and an opportunity to sign with the team? I mean, we see it almost every year. Like, chances are someone's going to go down at some point, and it just takes one team to feel a little bit desperate. Like, hell, could it be Favre 2.0 where the Vikings get into camp and either A, JJ is really struggling, or B, what if he has a setback on that knee? Do they bring him in? I do think Rodgers, even though he's clearly past his prime, we all know that, I think that he still is a player that would have some value for the right team. And out of 32 teams, he's certainly a top 32 quarterback. Like, he should start if he wants to keep playing, but with the baggage he brings, his age, all that stuff, obviously his options will be somewhat limited. Okay, one other aging star to talk about, but before we get there, let's get to 7,000 subscribers. We're at like 6,600 something. We're less than 400 subs away from our next milestone. I'd love to get to 10,000 by the end of the NFL draft. I got about 2.5 months. I'm going to be grinding on content with rumors, trade buzz, free agency, draft, everything in between, QB carousel. We're going to cover it all here on this channel. So hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends. Let's grow this thing and continue to bring you guys daily content here on 4Verts. Okay, let's talk Travis Kelce now. Obviously, the Super Bowl did not go his way or the Chiefs' way. They got pummeled by Philadelphia. Had a full reaction for about 20 minutes last night. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. But Ian Rapoport did report before the Super Bowl that Kelce's future is up in the air and that the outcome of the game could decide what he's going to do. Now, reading that part of it, it kind of makes you think, well, would Kelce run it back? You know, he didn't play that well in their last 2 games. The Chiefs, clearly, Mahomes' whole offense, coaching, not a good plan, even worse execution. Like, would Kelce want to go out like that? Probably not. But on the flip side, I think it's fair to say that Kelce's a diminished player. Now, I won't go fully washed. We did see him go for over 100 yards against the Texans in the divisional round. Like, he still has good games in there. They're just fewer and far between. And he doesn't have the same wiggle he used to. He's a little more dynamic than a late career Jason Witten, who kind of held on with Dallas and signed that 1 year with the Raiders. I think he's got more juice than that, but you kind of have to take him for what he is. Like, there's going to be games where he doesn't give you much at all, but then he'll randomly have 6 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown. Like, I still think he can give some of that to you, but remember all year we were like, he's going to turn it up for the playoffs, and he did in that first game against the Texans. We're like, here comes playoff Kelce, and then the last 2 games he didn't. So I think if you're the Chiefs, you would certainly want him back, just what he brings to the locker room, and he's still a valuable player on the field. But you have to understand that he can't be a top guy or even your number 2. Like, if he's your third or fourth weapon, that's a different deal. And if you're Kansas City, and I failed to mention this last night, kind of a brain fart by me, you got Rashee Rice coming back. You've got Xavier Worthy. So if you get a competent number 3 receiver, maybe you just bring back Hopkins. If he doesn't have a good market, he can still be a red zone threat. And then Kelce, that's your core 4. If you upgrade your O-line and running back room, that's a pretty formidable offense. You know, the game was out of reach, but you saw late in the game that Mahomes just kind of started YOLO slinging it. I kind of wonder if they get back to being a little bit more aggressive offensively, because the last couple of years, they've leaned on their defense and just Mahomes has become more of a, take care of the football type of quarterback, because that was the strength of the team. But with Rice coming back and Worthy emerging, and if they get a dynamic running back, I could see them kind of not fully reverting back to the Tyreek Hill days, but hey, yeah, we're going to be a little more dynamic offensively and take more shots downfield, especially with Worthy. I mean, that guy's speed, if he gets behind you, you're not catching him. So we'll see on Kelce. I would call it 50-50. I wouldn't be surprised either way. I also wouldn't be surprised if, quite frankly, he either soft retires or just says, hey, like, I'm not deciding till after the draft, and, the Chiefs kind of move forward without him, but maybe come training camp, he decides to play. Like, they certainly would take him back. That's what Mahomes said, like, hey, it's his call, but we'd welcome him back with open arms. And they should, because he still has enough in the tank to at least be a piece. He just can't be the piece. That much is very clear. What say you? Will Travis Kelce retire, yes or no? Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. I do wonder, too, if he looks at his brother, Jason, who lost a Super Bowl, played one more year, then walked away, easily could have come back this year, then he watched the Eagles win the Super Bowl. Does Kelce look at this and say, I'd hate to walk away and watch the Chiefs win a Super Bowl next year without me? Gut tells me he'll come back, but I do think he'll take some time, and I don't think it's it's a obvious call either way. I think he'll really think this one over. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of 4 Verts. Again, subscribe, like the video, more content coming your way here on this channel. NFL offseason, baby, just getting going here. My name is Harrison Graham. We'll see you guys soon.